said we have to go now.
It's crazy as hell. It's honestly crazy as hell because if we didn't know the backstory of all this whole entire like thing, we'd be over here feeling so bad for her. We'd be like, yo, oh my god, that's horrible to hear that people would do that to her. When little do we know that she was the one who fucking started. She's the reason why this happened in the first place.
What makes the case of Jennifer Pan unique among others in the true crime genre is the overabundance of raw footage freely available in the public domain. There is over 11 hours of material that not only recounts her entire life in meticulous detail, but gives us considerable insight into her psychopathological state. Jennifer herself will narrate her own story in this video, which is the reason the following lead-up segment will be condensed, as a brief outline is all that is needed before delving into the extraordinary mind of this individual. Jennifer was born in Markham, Ontario, where she was raised with her older brother in a middle-class household. Her parents, Beek and Han, were originally from Vietnam, and their method of parenting was strict, very strict, what some might even class as authoritarian. Success and achievement from their children were seen as outright obligations, whether it be in academics or extracurricular activity, and some might argue these expectations took precedence over the well-being of the children themselves. Jennifer initially took the imposed pressure in her stride and put everything she had into figure skating. She had exceptional talent, and at one point was expected to compete in the Winter Olympics, but she suffered a serious knee injury at the age of 14 and was told she could no longer...
Here comes some of y'all with the Josh jokes.
Compete. Her dreams were cut short, but of more concern was that her parents' expectations now had to be met through the more traditional route of education. And the issue was that Jennifer wasn't anywhere near as academically gifted as she was athletic. She was averaging a C- when her parents wanted straight A's. So rather than communicate with them, she decided to meet their expectations under false pretenses and began faking her test results. This led to her faking her end-of-year report cards, which eventually led to her faking a high school diploma, and then a university acceptance letter to study pharmacology. In the abstract world of her parents, Jennifer was on her way to a noble and well-paid career in medical health care, when in reality, she was a high school dropout living with her drug dealer boyfriend, whom she had been dating in secret for almost 8 years. She was eventually found out in 2010 when her parents discovered she had been living a double life, and was then given an ultimatum. At 24 years old, she had to choose between one of two options. Option one was that she had to live at home under a strict regime, cease all contact with her boyfriend, and only leave the house to go back to school and pursue an education. Option two was that she could do whatever she wanted, but she would then be disowned from her family. She could never return home, and all financial support would cease immediately. Jennifer evidently decided neither option would suffice, so she created option number 3. She had her boyfriend arrange a mock home invasion, where 3 of his acquaintances would enter the Pan household and stage a robbery gone wrong. The 2 instructions were to first ransack the home and then murder the parents. The planned date was Monday the 8th of November, with the scheduled time being roughly 11 p.m. Jennifer would unlock the front door, and 3 figures were caught on a neighbor's surveillance camera entering the home at 11:05. They were then seen running out just under 18 minutes later. It was at that exact time 911 received a call from the same household.
What the
Beek
fuck?
Pan was shot twice, once in the neck and once in the head.
What?
She was killed immediately. The father, Han, was also shot twice, once in the shoulder and once in the face. He astonishingly survived and was put into an induced coma once he arrived at the hospital. Jennifer was taken to the same hospital as a precaution, but was soon cleared of injury. She sat by her father's bedside for roughly 3 hours before she was taken to the Markham police station to give a statement as a witness.
All right, look, I'm not gonna be pausing. I'm not gonna be pausing frequently, but this bitch set up her family. You know, you have to be a certain type of evil to do that. You set up your own family. Be fine. What the fuck?
I want to go through a form with you. It may seem kind of, why you're doing this, but this is it's like you're swearing to tell the truth about what you're going to talk to me about, and it's also going to explain to you the penalties for not telling the truth. I don't expect you to help me, but for a homicide investigation, anyone who's very close to the investigation, we do this with. Okay? So this isn't suspecting that you're not going to tell the truth. This is more of a feature that you understand the importance of telling the complete truth.
Jennifer is not a suspect at this moment. She is only giving a voluntary statement under oath. She has not read her right to silence, but instead informed of her rights as a witness. She is basically told that fabricating evidence with the intent to mislead is an offense. After reading the notification off paper, the detective gives Jennifer a more human explanation of the instruction.
What I've just explained to you is you're here voluntarily to help us, that you don't have to talk to us if you don't want to, but the importance of talking to us, and if you're talking to us, the importance of telling the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, there's criminal consequences for not telling the truth. That's all that.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see our relation.
Doing.
We'll see for sure.
Okay?
The investigator then leaves to get the Commissioner of Oaths, which is for the purpose of swearing in the witness, but he first brings in a box of Kleenex. This is universally recognized as getting startled, yet the official term in neurophysiology is the startle reflex via auditory stimulus. Hyperarousal from a traumatic event can often exaggerate this response in a manner similar to how Jennifer reacted to the sound of the door.
Hello, my name is Andrew Laspiro. I'm the Commissioner of Oaths with York Regional Police. I'm here so you can give a truthful statement, either by solemn affirmation or swearing on the Bible. Which do you prefer?
Swearing on the Bible.
Okay, just put your hand on the Bible.
And look, sorry, I'm sorry for pausing, but just a quick question. Let's say somebody goes to court, right? And you know how you go to court, or you're getting interrogated, you have to swear on the Bible and shit, right? What if that said person is like an atheist? Is there really any purpose of doing all that? They're an atheist or some shit. Cause it's kind of like, I mean, they're basically like say, yeah, I'm telling the truth, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't believe that shit. So it's like, is there really any point of asking that if they don't believe in that? I don't know.
Do you, Jennifer Pan, swear that the evidence you shall give on this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Once Jennifer is sworn in, the lead investigator...
I feel like atheists be like, when they hear "so help you God," the niggas be chuckling. Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, I swear.
Yesterday, meaning the 8th of November.
You just know it.
And tell me about your day. Okay, start at any point in time, wherever you feel comfortable, and then we're gonna move forward. Okay.
Just about lie, oh my God.
Yesterday, probably around.
That's on Kratos.
In the morning, 9:30. My mother, she woke me up and she told me that she was going to visit my grandfather.
Throughout the day, Jennifer explains that she practiced piano, studied piano history, talked on the phone with her friends, and had dinner with her parents. Her mother left for line dancing at 8 p.m. and returned home at about 9:30, at which time Jennifer was alone in her room watching TV, ready to go to sleep.
And then suddenly I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down. And that's when I lowered the volume on my TV, and I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And a guy was there, and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, "I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is." My mom kept trying to get up, and they kept telling her to sit down. And so I didn't want her to get hurt, so I told her, "Mom, sit down." They were trying to find her wallet, but her English isn't good, so she kept saying purse. They kept pushing her down onto the chair.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important, so take your time.
Jennifer's nonverbal communication up to this point has made sense, and the reflection of her
That's
mother's
fucking
last
crazy.
moments seems to push her over the edge. It could be assumed the detective still considers Jennifer a victim at this moment. But in the next moment, he
crocodile
will start
tears,
becoming
man.
suspicious.
They kept all the lights off on the main floor. The only time there was light was when they opened the fridge door to see if they could find where my mom's purse was.
Take yourself back to a moment in your life when you have been overwhelmingly upset about something, and at the same time were trying to explain to someone why you were upset. You wouldn't quietly and reservedly convey the events. You would likely blurt them out in a forceful and disordered manner. Your sole focus would be on processing your thoughts and conveying them into speech. The emotional turbulence of severe hysteria and grief makes it very difficult to convey thought into actual dialogue, and the simple wording of a sentence becomes very challenging. Jennifer seems to be more concentrated on how she's being perceived, yet finds her words easily and executes her sentences perfectly.
One of the gentlemen asked my father if he had money in his wallet and where his wallet was. So they took me, because I was next to the stairwell, they took me up the stairs to show them where my father's wallet was. But I didn't know. They had turned the room upside down. I didn't know where his pants were at that time.
The intruders retrieve $1,100 from the master bedroom and then tie Jennifer to the upstairs banister.
Next thing I know, I think I heard my parents going down the stairs, and my mom was asking them for me to come with them. They wouldn't let me come with them. And after they said, the last things I heard them say was, "You lied to us. You lied to us." And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her. Then a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
And I think I heard my mom say or moan or something, and then they did one more before they left, and then one of the guys said, "We have to go now."
It's crazy as hell. It's honestly crazy as hell because if we didn't know the backstory of all this whole entire thing, we'd be over here feeling so bad for her. We'd be like, "Yo, oh my god, that's horrible to hear that people would do that to her." When little do we know that she was the one who fucking started. She's the reason why this happened in the first place. You know what I mean? It's just crazy, man. It's just fucking wild. Was we me again? Oh, everyone here except for Vac. But yeah, you know.
And then they ran out the door.
But yeah.
And I think once they were out the door, I heard my
This is
dad
wild,
go up the
bro.
stairs, and at that point,
Jennifer has clearly gotten her story straight beforehand, yet in the next moment appears to realize how unusual it is that she was able to make a phone call when her hands were tied behind her back to a banister. She hesitates, stutters, and even looks to the detective for approval twice before she quickly moves on.
I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there that I didn't know about. So I had my phone on me, behind me, that I had hidden there.
Bro. She's fucking caught. She's caught, bro. She said, I had my phone on me behind. Oh my
That they
god.
didn't know about. So when
Oh my god.
when I thought that they had heard them all leave and my dad ran up the stairs, I whipped up the phone and I called 911. But I still hadn't heard anything from my mom, and all I could hear was my dad running on the street, just moaning and making sounds.
The detective then breaks the event down into components and has Jennifer go through each moment in more detail. The first of which is the appearance of the intruders. Jennifer now describes the one who appeared to be in charge.
The only thing I can remember was he had dreadlocks.
He had dreadlocks. So can you describe his race to me?
He was
Was there any point of like asking that? He had dreadlocks. What other race could he have been? Well, like, how often do you see other races not have, like... How often do you see, like, you know, a white guy or a Latino guy have dreads? Like, come on now. Come on now.
Was his head covered? Was his face covered? Do you remember anything about that?
just that his dreadlocks were, like, kind of like flopping all over the place. I couldn't really see his face, and they kept the lights dark as much as possible.
Did he have a gun?
Yes.
Did you see the gun?
I only saw the top part of the gun.
What did it look like?
Kind of, it was black.
Yeah. Do you know where the other guys involved in this are?
I know one stayed with my parents downstairs.
Okay.
The other one, I'm not, at that point in time, I was more focused on him, like, he was seeing me and he was coming after me.
So you're
I
saying
didn't-
there's 3 for sure?
Yeah.
That's all? You saw a total of 3 at one time? You saw 3 people
Yes.
together?
Yes, when I went downstairs, I
Okay.
saw 3 shadows.
She details the appearances of the other 2 assailants, whom she asserts were also black males. The detective then brings her back to the one in charge.
Now the first guy who spoke to you, did he have any accent? Was
None
it
that
clear?
I could make out.
Was it
Just
clear English?
English,
Unbroken?
unbroken.
No accent?
From the terms he used,
No
I didn't
accent.
get to pick up an accent, no. He used
So-
short phrases.
He sounded Canadian.
I would say, yes, he was born here.
He was born.
Hey, boo.
She
What's going
asserts that
on?
the second intruder didn't speak, while the third had a Caribbean accent. She then goes on to say she was taken downstairs for a brief moment and saw her parents under guard in the living room. Her father was asked where his wallet was, and he told them it was in the master bedroom. Jennifer was then taken back upstairs alone with 2 of the assailants to help them find it. They don't find the wallet, but instead retrieve a pile of cash from inside the nightstand. Jennifer was then tied to the upstairs banister and left alone as the intruders went back down.
And the next thing I can hear are them telling my parents to move to the basement.
Okay.
And I'm asking them, why, where are you going? And my mom's yelling to me, I want my daughter. Why can't my daughter come too? I want my daughter.
Jennifer then hears one of the intruders yell, "You lied to us."
Who do you hear yelling, "You lied to us," or to that
Number
extent?
3.
Number 3.
I'm assuming it's to my father. Because he was the one asking for the wallet.
Now you hear this commotion downstairs. You said you heard 2 pops. And you heard who scream?
My mom.
Your mom. And what was she screaming? Do you remember?
Couldn't make it out. It
No?
was kind of like a cry yell, so it was just,
Okay.
they had made the first round, or pop, and they had said, okay, that's enough. Let's go.
Who said that? Whose voice is that?
Number 1.
Okay.
And then I heard one more after that. And they were like, that's enough. Let's go.
Okay. And again, that's number 1.
Yes.
So what do you hear next? After you hear the scrambling, they're gone. Because you're hearing no more. I gather that's how you assume they're gone, is because you don't hear it. Then you hear your dad.
I reached for my phone at
Okay.
that point.
And you call 911. Okay. When your father exits, you hear the door open. Because you hear your dog, and then you
And then
see.
I can hear like the outside noises.
Okay.
Like the wind coming in, and I just hear my dad, "Ah," I think he...
You think that he's sustained some kind of injury because he's not. You can't understand what he's saying. Okay. What about, can you hear your mom? Okay. Where does your dad go? Do you know where? You never see your dad again until when we're at the hospital. I think that's what you said, right?
I saw him when he was on the gurney.
Is there any reason to suspect, or anything that's happened in the recent weeks leading up, that would have you guys be a target of some type of incident like this?
You call out the hit.
Straightforward.
You call out the fucking home invasion.
Whenever Jennifer
Bitch.
smiles, it takes her a couple seconds to realize she's not exhibiting the correct behavior, and she then snaps back into her solemn stare. The two looks are so diametrically opposed to each other that it becomes glaringly obvious she's forcing one of the emotions.
Shit. What the
What, in
fuck?
your opinion,
Hold up. Nah, bruh.
What, in your opinion, would cause people to target your house to think there was a large quantity of money?
I'm not sure.
Now, you say your mom drives a Lexus.
It could be because of the aesthetics, yes.
What about your dad?
He drives a Mercedes and he loves that baby.
Is that right?
The questions end here, and the detective leaves the room for half an hour to double-check if he needs any more information. After 15 minutes of Jennifer waiting alone, we're gifted with another performance of the startle reflex, only this time it's slightly less convincing. If investigators were certain of Jennifer's innocence, this would have been the first and last time she would have been questioned in such a manner. Police are extremely careful in how they involve victims in investigations as to not cause further unnecessary trauma. But on this particular occasion, it would come as no surprise that Jennifer's psychological well-being was of less concern. She was officially still a victim and witness, but unofficially a leading suspect. She was called back in to give another statement just 2 days later at 9 a.m. She was told the reason was to collect more details, but you'll notice that the line of questioning and the answers they attain have little to no use for anything outside of Jennifer's culpability. The actual reason for this second statement is to collect further information to use against her at a later stage. In this interview alone, they already start the process of cross-examination and start to catch her out in previous lies. Jennifer is still a witness at this moment, and the exchange is void of any direct confrontation. Yet she is still put under a modest amount of pressure, and the holes in her story start to become ever more apparent.
Take that first interview that we had, which was, hours after what had transpired, put it aside. It's almost like we've never spoken before, okay? So we're starting afresh. We're starting from new. That way you're not going to say, I think I already told him that. Don't worry about what you've already told me.
Do you, Jennifer Penn, swear or declare that the evidence that you give in this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
We're going to see if we've learned or if you've remembered anything else. And there's some questions with respect to that statement that I'm going to ask you about. Okay, but I'm going to let you start again, and let's move forward from any time in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and
Why are you nervous? Tell me about why you're nervous.
because I don't want to say the wrong things.
You don't want to say the wrong things.
A lot.
You're right.
And I've been scattered, and so bits and pieces are here and some pieces aren't here, and I'm just...
So I want you to sit back in your chair, okay? Just sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, okay? Close your eyes, just follow my line, just sit back in the chair for a second, sit back, relax the best you can, close your eyes.
Is she incarcerated?
Just breathe for a minute. Okay.
She basically planned a home invasion that gone wrong in her own household.
The most curious detail you've probably
and got her
come
parents
to
killed.
notice is this. It's known as a self-pacifying gesture. A person who does this is most often uncomfortable and sometimes fearful of what lies ahead. It's a coping mechanism to dissipate stress and afford self-assurance.
What I can remember is when I woke up, I had some breakfast,
She
Bro,
practices
that's
on
crazy.
the piano, studies piano history.
Bro, I would
plays
love to
on
like
the
study
phone, and
study
speaks
psychology,
with her
chat.
friends on
I would love
Facebook
I would
during
love
the
to study
morning
I would
hours.
love to
Her
study
mom
this type
leaves
of
to
shit.
visit her
Imagine just
laptop
knowing
around noon.
let me pause this. Like imagine just knowing how like people's minds work and shit. And they don't even know how their own minds work. They just like you just like look past them. That'd be so fucking fire.
And returns
The
at
things
3
you could
p.m.
do,
to prepare
holy
dinner.
shit.
Her father comes home at around 4:30 from work,
Because
and
when I was like
dinner is
calling you
served
a
1 hour
scammer.
later. Her mother leaves for
Nah,
line dancing
because it's
at
not
7,
true.
then returns at 9:30.
Y'all are just
Jennifer
mad
at this point
for
is
whatever
in bed
reason.
talking with her friend on the phone, and her father is in the computer room. She then hears her mother loudly call out to her father.
What is she saying?
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim. What do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi,
It's
someday.
just psychology
She's
is hard as
clearly
fuck.
aware
It
that
is.
she has to appear
It really
mournful
is.
over the subject matter, and sensibly draws out this emotion at the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires further, this supposed grief rapidly dissipates. It's extremely difficult to convincingly act out an emotion while evaluating a question. It requires two completely different parts of the brain, which is why most people can only do one of these things at a time. This is exactly what you see in the next moment, and continuously throughout this interview.
And what is that?
What the fuck? Nah, but I only took like one psychology class in my life. Well, I was in college, but I mean that class was probably one of the most interesting classes I ever had in my life. But going above and beyond that must be hella difficult, like really difficult. Bruce said he owe you money. You're most likely not getting it because he's just that type of person. Yeah. Bro, shit, excuse me. He's definitely not lying about that. Definitely not lying about that. You're a scammer though. See, at least y'all know scamming my Bruce. See, thank you, Alpha. Thank you. Did Jan start the scammer wave? He made a song called Scammer. But yeah, anyways.
Does that translate to?
That's my father's
They're
name.
like, let's see
Han.
through all this.
Come
Nigga,
down
L
here.
would see that.
Does she
L will
say
be able to solve this.
anything associated with that?
L will solve this problem in like 5 seconds. I
I
promise
can't
you.
hear clearly because I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling, or is it at normal?
It's a loud. She's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
She then hangs up the phone with her friend once she hears the commotion.
As I'm hanging up the phone with him, I hear footsteps going up the stairs,
Okay.
but they're not. They're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected from my parents.
Okay.
Jennifer hears unfamiliar voices, so she opens her door to investigate. She has spoken for 2 minutes up to this point without being interrupted, and once again manages to build up her emotion to correlate with a supposedly terrifying event. Yet as soon as the detective interjects with a question, we once again see this emotion dissipate.
I peered out, and there was a person
Actually, Damar, wait.
in the.
You spell psychology right. What the hell is?
And where's your brother's room located?
I want you to respell that,
down
please.
I could see from my doorway to his doorway, just
Okay.
a little bit down the hall.
Okay.
The first intruder then robs Jennifer at gunpoint before taking her to the ground floor,
Good,
where she
Maxter.
then sees her parents sitting next to each other.
All right, Jeffrey.
From where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right, and my mother was sitting on the left,
Sitting where?
on a couch, on our couch.
Sitting on the couch.
On the
Are they looking
couch.
out towards you?
No, they're
Sitting on the
back towards
couch.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor?
Oh my
On
God,
the
Damar.
stairs?
on the floor.
You spelled it wrong twice,
Where
bro.
are your
Oh
hands?
my God.
They had tied my
Oh
hands.
my
So let's
God.
They said,
Let's go back up to the stairs. Remember we said
Her emotional display in seeing her parents in distress gradually faded after each interjection, but you'll now see it completely cease altogether once she realizes that she made her first mistake. Everything she had said up to this point
This nigga spelled
correlated with her
psychology
initial
wrong
statement,
twice.
but she had just forgot to mention that she was first tied up before being taken downstairs.
man said it was a
and only
typo.
brought it up when reminded by the detective
take the other statement and whatever we said before.
Oh, wait.
in her first objection. But
This man said it was a typo. And Batista spelled it wrong again. Yeah, I only seen the word 5 times my whole lifespan. So, you know, I mean, you know how to spell the word psychic, right? You know, psy. You know, the prefix psi has to do with the mind. Yeah, yeah.
Display in seeing her parents in distress gradually faded after each interjection, but you'll now see it completely cease altogether once she realizes that she made her first mistake. Everything she had said up to this point correlated with her initial statement, but she had just forgot to mention that she was first tied up before being taken downstairs, and only brought it up when reminded by the detective.
Take the other statement and whatever
Oh,
we said
shit.
before.
No, I said it earlier.
She didn't
It's
say she
ups.
was tied up earlier. She completely forgot to mention it and seems to be trying to
The
convince
psi
the detective
one?
otherwise. It's a moment of slight panic, which
No,
becomes
there
far
isn't.
more pronounced when you
There
compare
isn't.
it to her supposed grief-stricken recollection 5 seconds earlier. The
I don't know
detective
about
doesn't acknowledge
science.
this, as it can be used against her at a much later stage, and the main objective at this point is to collect as much conflicting information as possible.
Okay, then we must let's get back to that area. I think you might have touched on it. We went back into the description. So where do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
I'm not sure where the string comes from, but he had the string.
Okay.
And after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
She is then taken downstairs where she sees her mother being interrogated by the second assailant over the whereabouts of the cash. According to her first statement, the second assailant never said a word the entire time.
He had pushed her back onto the couch, and she
Who
kept...
pushed her?
Number 2.
Okay.
He was pushing her back onto the couch. And she kept saying, "Where's my purse? Where's my purse?" And the guy kept telling her to sit down, and I didn't want my mom to get hurt.
How many times does she get up and get pushed back down?
I'd say she got up twice.
Has number 2 uttered a word at this point in time?
I can't remember hearing him.
Okay. So we're just correcting what you said earlier, because you said earlier that it was number 2 who was asking where the purse is, and now you've said now it's number 1 guy who would
I'm
initially...
sorry, it's just...
No. It's all a purpose. The purpose here is clarifying what you're saying. So number
I
1
just
is...
don't want to...
Number 1 is the one who's doing the talking about the purse. Number 3 is focused on your dad's wallet. Okay.
Jennifer
That's because
continues to make
thinking.
contradictions.
No,
and
she's-
is forced to
she's
correct
mentally
herself
unstable.
multiple times after she notices
She's
the
mentally
puzzled
unstable.
gaze from the detective. He
Well, actually,
inquires
it's
over
both.
The appearance
It's both,
of assailant
actually.
number 2, who was wearing a hoodie according to the first statement.
You get a good look at number 2 now of what he's wearing?
All I could tell was he had a vest, and his face was like a long oval face.
He had a vest?
No, hoodie.
Okay.
Dark hoodie.
Okay. Did you see them recover anything inside your mom and dad's room?
I did not see anything, no.
Are you sure? Because when we spoke the last time, there was some mention of some other money that went missing.
I believe when they were looking for my father's wallet, they had opened the drawer. And it was in an envelope.
What drawer would that have been in?
If you're at the doorway where I was standing on the left side, the bedside table.
Whose side of the bed is it?
That's my mother's side of the bed.
Okay.
More than likely a total coincidence, yet she almost appears to be praying that she gave the correct...
Yeah, she knew that she's praying. She was like, please somebody got it right. Please somebody got it right. The reason why I paused, I'm thinking to myself, why would her father's wallet be on her mom's side of the bed though? Like her mom's side of the drawer though. I mean, I'm not saying it's obviously. I mean, sure, obviously it's possible, but I mean, this, I don't know. Just seems kind of odd that you should say that. But
response. Fortunately for her, she was correct on this occasion.
oh, but she was right though.
Approximately how much money?
Okay.
I'm not sure how much she took out for our our trip. But I can only estimate about a few $100s.
Few hundred, because at the time, the last time you
Or
told me, you were pretty adamant about
$1,100.
$1,100.
Yeah, it's
So I'm
1,100.
curious to know
Yeah.
how you came up with that number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when we were at the border, we stopped at the duty free. My mother was deciding whether to use her U.S. currency or her U.S. currency or her Cuban
Yeah.
currency.
It's a girl. It's us for you.
So it was at that time you remember hearing $1,100, and that's what is that the inference you're saying is that because you're pretty solid saying that it was $1,100 that went missing that was taken,
Girl, it is us for you.
and that you saw it when we spoke, and who took it, who took possession of the money.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
She's
The
trying to.
detective lets the
She's trying to
contradiction
think.
slide once more.
She's trying to
Jennifer is
think.
then brought to the moment where the intruders had just left, and she is tied to the upstairs banister.
Let's come back to now. You're being taken to the banister in the
I'm
upper.
sorry, I don't
Don't
remember.
apologize, okay? I'm going to try and ask you questions to try and clarify points, okay? If you don't remember...
She agreed not to talk about it, and they would investigate the scene, look for
Okay, so
cameras, but she
there's
made
no
it worse herself.
apologizing. The only reason you would apologize to me is if
Yeah.
you lied to me.
She did not think
Okay,
that one
so-
through.
I just
Then in this case, then don't apologize to me. It's okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions to clarify points. You're now bound to this.
Yeah.
To the.
So that, why would you ever carry $1,000 in a
Can you
wallet?
stand up and turn around and tell me?
Y'all just asking to get robbed,
How your
bro.
hands are big.
Like, look, if you look at here. If you carry more than $200, I'd say if you carry more than $200 in your wallet, there's a problem. You should never carry that amount. You should never carry that much in your wallet at a time. I'm being like 100%. Never carry that much in your wallet at a time. Actually, but my friend, me personally, I don't carry cash. Everything is in my bank account. Everything is like, electronically. Why? Because I mean, obviously, I know a lot of y'all here don't have like a debit card or something, or a bank account or something. But I mean, at the very least, like if something goes wrong, let's say you forget your wallet at like a restaurant or someone robs you. I mean, at the very least, you don't have cash on you, so they don't get anything from you. You can just freeze your card, so you'll be fine. So, $5 million in the bank. Okay, buddy. E14, you should have a debit card. I didn't get my first debit card until I was about, I want to say 16 years old. Yeah, I was like 15, probably 16 years old when I got my first debit card. So that was like ages ago.
And how you are against the railing. You don't have to sit down. I just need to see how you were.
Honestly, the earlier the better. The earlier the better.
I'm trying to. I need to do this.
But also, it is
And I'm
a
also gonna
responsibility
ask you
too.
is
So.
so take this back to take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical position, because I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. We're obviously going to need to know that. It's very important. So traumatize away. Now put yourself into just a state of, I need to mechanically show how I can get access to my phone. Okay, because that's obviously very relevant. We know you made the phone call, but questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator?
You know how to handle save
So
money.
clinically,
Yeah,
now
pretty much.
clinical demonstration.
You know how to handle your money, you'll be fine. But
Focus in on how you did it. And I want you to stick that in your waistband as an example. Okay, so take your sweater off, because this will be a very smooth, very quick thing. It's a one-time demonstration. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
The two critical parts of this demonstration are where Jennifer states she was tied, and the movement of her arms as she takes her phone out of her pocket. The investigator is hoping the mechanics of the two components would be illogical and contradict each other.
I tied my upper arm
Yes,
around the banister,
yes.
but my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call?
With whether
Bro. Yo, she is finished. She is finished. Nah, bruh. Nah, bruh.
whether it be a stroke of luck or that Jennifer had prepared for this moment, this actually made sense. Had her arms gone left or the point of restraint been below the elbow, none of this would have been possible. It's perhaps the single moment where Jennifer's statement was somewhat beneficial to her defense. We know Jennifer was tied up when police arrived, but the assumption was that she had her phone in her hands the entire time and wouldn't have had to retrieve it from her waistband. She can now argue that this portion of her testimony is genuine.
911.
She practiced.
You talk down like that.
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like
She practiced.
How can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes. So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing. Okay, that's good enough. Sit down.
Jennifer is then brought back to the moment just before she heard the gunshots.
At this point, I started hearing my parents get up. And they're moving. And my mom's yelling, "Where's my daughter? I want my daughter. Where's my daughter?" And I'm yelling, "Mom, I'm here."
Here. Jennifer, take a Kleenex and just take a minute.
You'll notice that she doesn't wipe her eyes or blow her nose, just buries her face in the tissue, which the detective later testified remained completely dry.
Crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
So they're down in the basement. They're down in the. You know your parents are down in the basement.
I heard pop. And then my mom. I heard her squeal.
Multiple pops occur thereafter before she hears the intruders leave through the front door.
Once the door closed, I heard my father. He ran up the stairs and all I could hear was moaning. Yeah. Once I heard him starting to move, that's when I pulled out the phone and I was trying to call 911.
This is untrue. She only realized her father was alive midway through the 911 call. And in that exact moment, you can actually hear genuine fear in her voice compared to her fabricated panic the moment before.
Some people broke into our house and paid us all his money. Ma'am, where are you? What? Avenue Road. Yeah. Can you spell the street name for me, please? Dad?
The final part of this statement is collecting information to set up the main strategy for Jennifer's interrogation that will take place 10 days later. They go through Jennifer's past and gather intel to lay the foundation for what's known as the how and why solution, which will be explained in further detail at a later stage.
What I want to do now is I want to go into your past, okay?
The Nas X ads. Oh god.
And start talking about things that have been going on with you.
The detective now morphs into a therapist, and what's fascinating is how Jennifer doesn't once question the new line of inquisition. Many argue that it was the first time Jennifer was even asked about such matters, giving reason for her willingness to open up. This may have been the first time in her life she was able to process her frustrations and vent to someone who appeared to care. The first topic is her parents, and the expectations and pressures she was under to succeed, which led to her faking her grades and then her college degree as to not be a disappointment.
How did you feel about that? How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
Did you have any resentment towards them for this?
I chose what I chose, but in the end I chose my family.
She just referred to the ultimatum she was given by her father, the choice to live at home and go back to school, or be completely cut off by her parents and live with her boyfriend. Information gathering on Jennifer's past goes on for roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. The detective then ends the exchange by putting her under some pressure. It's not a direct confrontation, but it's by far the most uncomfortable position she's been in up to this point. The detective subtly switches back to the home invasion and how the intruders were able to gain access without breaking in.
It sounds like a porn star name, but no, she's not a porn star.
You didn't hear a door knock. You didn't hear a door kicked in. You didn't.
I said I was watching TV on the phone. I don't know how.
Yeah, I know we went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down
She
there.
was the only one down there.
So it's very confusing. Generally, random events are not, in most cases, random. There's a rhyme or reason why they've come to your house. But from what you've told me inside the house, the only thing that you hear them saying to you is they're looking for money. They're not looking for a specific quantity of money?
No.
So you're telling me that you had no involvement in what happened, meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money. You're not involved in this any which way. Because the question obviously stands, Jennifer, is you're upstairs and they're downstairs. Right? So it's a natural concern when, why would they leave you alone? Why would they not do the same to you?
Good question. Oh my. Oh my God, bro. She she didn't, bro. She really did not think that through, did she? She really did not think that all the way through, now did she? Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know why. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about that. I really wasn't thinking about that. I'm like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Wow. She is. Wow. She really did not think that one through. That really makes no sense when you think about it. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me these robbers say, hey, you know what? Let her stay upstairs. You know, she can do what she wants. We'll worry about the parents. What the fuck? Oh, I don't know. Now, I mean, what was it? If she were smarter about this whole situation, she could have lied and said something like, "Oh, you know, one of the guys said, you know, let her go. You know, we're worried about the parents or some shit." Maybe she could have done something with that, but that's probably as far as I would go. As far as I know, yeah, it's ups for her.
You can't answer that question?
It's ups for her.
The only thing I can say is he said I cooperated. But I asked him to take me.
The number one guy said you cooperated. Okay. Who's to say this whole thing isn't a lie? That what you're telling me is a lie? Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I've ever faced in my life.
They didn't wear gloves? Jesus Christ.
There is nothing that you've said to me today is a lie. Now, back to another very difficult question. But if I don't ask it, I'm going to be... it's an obvious one.
Niggas is
The
horny
resentment
already.
that
Oh, God.
that you may have had towards your parents for the interference in your relationship and your life and essentially locking you down in your house.
At the end of the day, I love my parents and I chose to be with them. And if I wanted to, I could have just left, but I didn't. I wanted to stay with them and take care of them.
What?
So this wasn't some evil plot that you thought up to...
Oh my God, no.
No interaction, no belief, you didn't have anything to do with this thing at all, whatsoever. You don't engage in illegal activity?
No.
Because you know that it'll be very easily, it will be a very easy thing to discredit you on, right? We're in the process of trying to add credibility to what you tell us, and that's through the process of asking people.
It's good facts.
Through that same process, it will be very easy to find the flaws in what you've said, which again then turns the focus back to you. Okay?
I don't.
It's a natural progress. It's a natural thing that investigators do. We eliminate people, or we draw our attention to them. It's a natural thing. It's not brain surgery. Okay?
The detective leaves the room for 20 minutes to allow Jennifer to stew in her own thoughts before they end the statement. He comes back to add one last bit of psychological pressure that he carefully disguises as reassurance. Jennifer will leave terrified, but still believe the police are on her side.
Okay, we're done, essentially. How you feeling?
When I date a few, I just send yourself up.
Did I? What did I scare you about? Sit down and take a load off. Tell me how you're feeling. And how I scared you. I don't want you walking away from here thinking I'm evil. I want you to walking around from here thinking that this guy is helping investigate.
Even worse, imagine killing the people that gave you birth.
Every stone possible to make sure that we catch the people who do.
Your mom and your dad
So
over some petty shit.
Thinking that I scared you, or I'm a bad man. Sometimes we have to ask very, very difficult questions, but it's my job. Okay? You're our only link. You're it. Until your dad regains his back and being able to be spoken to, right now you're our only link to this case.
Her father had bullet fragments lodged in his face that doctors couldn't remove, and a shattered neck bone. At the time of this interview, the consensus was that if he did regain consciousness, he would be useless as a witness due to irreversible brain damage.
So we may rely on you heavily until we can speak to your father. Okay? So don't be afraid. If you've told the truth, the last thing you should be afraid of is anything. If you've told the truth and you've been truthful through this whole process, then you're helping. You're doing your part. Okay? And don't be afraid of me.
I'm just afraid because, I know everything is just all pointing negatively right now, and I don't understand why. I feel that, the way you're speaking to me, it's kind of like, I know you said that you had to say those things, but it's here, and I've already said it to the special victims yesterday, but there's ideas in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to say it out loud. But
ideas about speculation of what happened, how it happened. Unfortunately, at times some of us have to point the finger, seem like we're pointing the finger, and it really is just to provoke you to see what you're going to do, how you're going to respond. Okay? So it's only a question, and it's been answered, and if you've been truthful, okay, you have nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Okay?
We're watching.
Police kept Jennifer
Criminal
under close
psychology.
observation from this point forward. A surveillance detail was assigned to track her every movement, and she was even monitored at her mother's funeral 3 days later. According to reports, she was emotionless the majority of the time, only showing what appeared to be feigned grief at certain moments. She never shed a single tear, and kept her eyes to the floor or completely shut for the entirety of the service. Jennifer's father had in fact awoken from his induced coma the day prior, and miraculously seemed to remember everything from the night of the incident. He would give an official statement in secret on November 16th, and multiple parts of his story contradicted what Jennifer had told police. The most significant detail was that she was never tied up, but instead walking around freely and talking with the intruders as if they were friends. She spoke to Jennifer over the phone, but was informed by investigators to act amnesic and not to confront her, only to ask her if she thought her ex-boyfriend was behind it. She stated that she was almost certain he wasn't. The only issue with Hahn's statement was that he had suffered minor brain damage from the gunshot, which could be used by a defense team to refute his testimony in court, or even get it thrown out altogether. Furthermore, it was essentially his word against Jennifer's, and their turbulent relationship would also work greatly in the defense's favor. York Regional Police knew they needed a confession for the best possible chance at securing a conviction, so they assigned their most experienced investigator to conduct Jennifer's interrogation. She was called back into the Markham Police Station on the 22nd of November at 2:30 p.m., a week and a half after the incident took place.
So just for the record, it is the 22nd of November 2010. We're at the 5 district station in the town of Markham. My computer right now says 2:39 in the afternoon. Okay. Just for the record, my name is Detective William Gates. You can just call me Bill here today. And what do you like to be called?
Jen, Jennifer.
Jen? Yep. What do you prefer, Jen or Jennifer?
Doesn't.
Either or? Okay. So Jen, you're aware that the audio tape and everything's on. It's the same as last time. Okay. You've been here on 2 other occasions, I understand, on the 9th of November and I believe again on the 11th of November. Is that correct? Okay. And do you know why we're here today?
Just the stuff.
Yeah, regarding what?
The, what happened at my home?
Okay. And as a result of that home invasion, your father and Pam was actually shot, and your mother, Becca, and was actually killed. Is that correct? Yeah, you'll have to speak up a little bit just so I can hear you.
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
What's unique about this interrogator is how he immediately adopts a no-nonsense approach, yet manages to build rapport and remain sympathetic at the same time. You'll see that he has far less patience compared to the previous investigator, yet seems to create a stronger connection with the suspect. It's a hard thing to explain, but easily observed as you'll soon find out.
So that's what we're going to discuss here today.
Jennifer this time around has read her rights to silence rather than her rights as a witness. If she knew anything about the law in Canada, she would be wise to the fact that she is now a suspect. Fortunately for the investigator, she remains completely naive to the situation throughout the opening phase of the interrogation, making her far more susceptible to the strategy he is about to employ.
Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, we're having technical difficulties here. Okay, so that's why they interrupted me. What we're going to do is, if you don't mind holding tight there, I'm just going to move my
Sam
equipment to the other
Toronto? I
room.
know.
Okay, and then I'll come over and we'll move over there next door, okay? Okay, I'm going to be right here though. Okay?
With respect to interrogations, it's common knowledge that the psychological manipulation begins before a single word is spoken. The physical layout of the room is designed to accelerate the sense of discomfort and isolation, and it's fascinating to observe how each
this happened?
interrogator has their own unique
2010,
method of setting
11 years
the tone.
ago.
Knowing how this interrogation plays out allows us to realize this detective's procedure. The considerable distance between him and the suspect will keep her relaxed enough to be influenced by phase 1, but this same distance will intensify the pressure once he eventually closes it during phase 2. You'll notice this detective is slow with his first strategy, but swift with the second. He takes his time in building trust and establishing rapport, yet once this initial connection is secured, the transition to aggression will be abrupt and ever increasing from that point forward. Jennifer takes a seat in the room 15 minutes since she was first informed of her rights. It's important to note that she is still free to leave at any time at this point. She is unknowingly a suspect, but not under arrest.
So just for the record, this room is being videotaped and audio taped, just like the other one, okay? And I'm just going to grab my chair from across the way, okay? Okay.
The detective goes through Jennifer's history of teaching piano and her earlier years of high-level figure skating, which was cut short due to injury.
If you didn't get injured, would you still be doing it?
You're closer as time goes on, put pressure on the suspect.
And did you, as far as that, did you do like competition skating or? Okay. And how did you do with that?
I wasn't at the top of the pack, but I was in the middle pack.
Yeah, so that's good though. But you did actually enjoy it. It was more than just going for competition. You enjoyed actually doing it.
I was petrified of the competition.
Okay. All right. Do you have any students right now? Okay. And why not?
The students I were teaching, they went to high school and lost control.
Okay. Yeah, too big for piano. Yeah, I took it in grade school too, but I think I went to grade 7 in it. I think in grade 7 I stopped taking it. But, I still remember Swans on the Lake. I know how to play say that. That's about it.
The detective then goes through Jennifer's work history as a server before touching on her future plans in education. Jennifer mentions that she plans to go by her
kill my
parents'
parents.
wishes and pursue
Yeah,
a career
Rome, I
in
did.
healthcare, at which point the primary strategy is initiated. The how and why solution. The detective gradually begins to shift the blame away from the suspect and onto another set of circumstances that prompted the suspect to commit the crime. He starts developing a theme that will afford her a psychological justification in doing it, and this theme will be further established as the interrogation progresses. It starts off subtle so that she remains oblivious to the agenda.
Now, if you could pick any job yourself,
What's good for
I'm
us?
not talking about anybody else, but if you could pick
Or
for
Halo's
yourself,
parents?
what would it be?
Don't know.
I'm going to be a piano teacher on like when I come home. But in the daytime, I'd like to have a simple, maybe like a lab technician job, just work 8 hours a day, and then come home and teach piano.
This is an answer the detective was hoping for. Jennifer's preferred career choice is at odds with what her parents wanted, so he now builds on the concept of the overly controlling parent and the unfair limitations it causes the child. He then links this concept with the subject of Jennifer's boyfriend and how she was kept from seeing him.
Now, eventually you were discussing Daniel. What happened with that relationship?
I hid it from my parents at first. They didn't agree with me having a boyfriend.
Okay.
And once they found out, they didn't like the fact that he was of mixed race.
Okay.
And they told me to stop seeing him.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
But he was the person who just filled an empty void for me. So I felt that a part of me was missing.
When you broke up, you felt the part was missing? Is that what you're saying?
When we stopped seeing him, stopped talking to him, I felt like a part of me was missing, and I fell into a little bit of depression.
Okay. How did they find out?
One day when my mother came to pick me up, she saw me with him. He had dropped me off.
Okay. Dropped you off.
What am I gonna play?
And my mother was coming to pick me up.
I might play Scribble after this.
Somehow they saw each other, I guess?
Oh, my mother saw him hugging, kissing goodbye.
Okay. That gave it away. What happened next then?
Is Halo good?
I
No.
tried to bring him home.
It's evil. Speaking of Halo, his birthday's tomorrow, y'all.
Bring him home, let us meet him. When I brought him home,
Halo will be officially 1 year old tomorrow.
they didn't like him for some reason.
Okay.
Punk ass dog.
And they told me to stop seeing him.
Okay. So you were told to stop seeing him. So what happened then?
At first, I stopped for a while. But like I said, I just felt really empty, and I felt depression, and I started talking to him again.
Jennifer then goes on to explain in further detail how she carried on the relationship in secret and how it became more and more of a struggle hiding it from her parents.
Now, how has Daniel taken it when your parents said that you couldn't see him anymore? How did he take it?
5 in dog years? I thought it was 7 in dog years.
And how did you feel?
She then goes on to explain that she was living with Daniel at his parents' house for 2 years, while her own parents thought she was studying at a university.
And his parents were, I guess, more liberal than your parents.
His parents, they give us.
Yeah, okay. And they recognized that you loved each other.
Jennifer recounts how she bought a fake diploma for $500 to show her parents, and the many other avenues she went down to keep the lie going. She eventually gets to the day she was found out.
How did you end up back home, I guess?
They called up my friend, who I said I was staying with, in the middle of the night, and she was groggy and forgot what day it was, so she said,
She messed up.
All I see is Metro talking about pears, which is literally the
then
worst
goes
food of
on
all
to explain
time.
the ultimatum she was given and the restrictive measures that were put in place so that she wouldn't be able to see her boyfriend.
So how has that felt, being under those guidelines for the last 18 months?
It was okay. It wasn't the best feeling in the world because I just felt like trapped.
Okay.
But it's what I chose to be with my family.
Pears are gay apples.
And so you made a choice between what?
Living out on my own with Daniel and staying home with my parents.
Did you feel you really had a choice or not?
There was no choice because
Revolution, tee up.
And where do you get that from? Where do you get that belief? Okay. So family's number one?
Yes.
The detective then brings up Jennifer's earlier assertion of being depressed and then affiliates it with the restrictive measures she was living under.
What was the worst the depression got?
I cut myself.
Okay. And when did that happen?
Crazy.
Where did you cut?
On my wrist, and once people started noticing, I'd hide it other places, but
Okay.
never twice in the same spot.
So how many cuts do you have on you?
Now, none.
Done? They've healed? Okay. And did you want to kill yourself?
Yes.
Jennifer asserts that she tried to kill herself when she was 19 by overdosing on sleeping tablets. She also states that her self-harm was a distractor from the pain and frustrations she was going through.
Did you ever feel that they expected too much of you? Also.
Comparison to other people,
Okay. So who would they compare you to?
like classmates, clubmates, cousins.
And so some of them have been successful recently?
So she was like,
Okay. And what did they say to you?
I guess, emotionally abused in a way.
Been that person.
Okay. So that's pretty hard, right? Hard to take for you?
I guess I can understand that,
Put
but
on my life.
that don't mean you gotta kill your parents and shit.
Did you ever feel like, I know you're smart and they believe you're very smart, but did you ever feel you weren't as smart as what they thought that you were?
Yeah.
Okay, I get that feeling. That
Excuse. Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's
pretty
not as
tough to live up
definitely
to
not an excuse to
expectations.
off your parents and shit,
Okay,
but
like, your dad ultimately
I mean,
would like to see you be like a doctor.
I do feel for
Those are
her
pretty high
for the
standards.
fact that she was mentally
Anyway.
abused.
Not everybody
But
can
also,
be.
I'm not like,
But they
I
made
don't
back
support
a
what
nice-
she did at all.
You could have done it no problem. Their expectations were so high that few people would be able to reach that expectation. I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about anybody. And it started at a young age.
The detective further explores the stresses of living with overly strict parents, and Jennifer explains in further details the way she would cope, which for the most part was lying about her grades
Tomorrow,
and living
what?
a double life with her boyfriend.
How did it feel having to lie to them all those years?
Really felt like I wanted to tell them, but they always looked down. And
I'm sure there were days when you actually planned that this is the day I'm going to tell them, and then you just couldn't spit it out.
The opening strategy of the how and why solution has now been executed. A connection has been attained, and the desired narrative established. The next phase of the interrogation is about to commence, which is first set up by a two-step strategy. Step 1 is to induce fatigue. Step 2 is to induce fear.
Now, when's the last time you spoke to your dad?
this morning, just to see if my brother had made it into school.
And what have you and your father discussed about this case?
He just asked me if Daniel was behind it.
Okay.
And I told him I don't know 100%, but I don't think he did.
Okay. Why would he ask that?
Because he believes that he could talk and that he would go to any length to be with me.
Okay. And what do you think about that?
I know that he's moved on, so I don't think he would go to these lengths to be with me when he's already moved on.
The detective has Jennifer go through the entire incident once more, but unlike the first investigator, offers no reassurance nor consolation. Jennifer starts fake crying again, yet this time is given no tissues to wipe away her non-existent tears.
Now, do you think there's any reason why they tied you up and didn't tie your parents up?
I don't know.
Does that seem odd to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it seem odd?
Because I was away up here separated from them the whole time.
What? What? Hold on. Let's run that back. I was away up here, separated from them the whole time. What? She really couldn't think of a better answer. She really could not think of a better answer. That's crazy.
Separated from them the whole time.
And does it make sense that they would leave a witness behind
Josh Rachel Polo? I know, I seen that.
if they were going to kill somebody? Does that make sense?
I guess
Just thinking about it. Would it make sense for somebody that is going to kill somebody to leave a witness behind that could describe them? Does that make common sense for killers?
it's not.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was a mistake they made then?
I don't know. They kept saying that they're running out of time, and it just.
It doesn't take a long time to kill someone, though, does it?
I know. I don't know.
Jennifer's dramatics intensify as the discussion of the home invasion continues. She's trying to give off the nonverbal cue that she wants to move past the incident. The detective doesn't respond, but continues to go over the different stages of the night in more detail. He jumps from the beginning to the end to the middle, back to the end, and then back to the beginning again. None of this is for the purpose of information gathering. He is inducing mental fatigue as to diminish Jennifer's critical thinking. This is often done before a direct confrontation, as it can diminish the suspect's ability to consider the long-term consequences of a decision. Jennifer will get stressed and tired, not because she is traumatized by the event being recited, but because it's exhausting keeping up such an act when it's not genuine, and this performance eventually starts to dwindle and becomes gradually less convincing.
How did the conversation end with Ed?
I heard my mother calling for my father.
And then what?
I have to go through this again.
Okay. When you went to bed, was your mom home yet?
She'd just gotten home, and I went down. I told her I'd be right back, and I went down. I said hi to her, and I went back up to my room.
Were you injured at all during the whole process?
Not really.
Okay. Not really anything?
Step 2 of the confrontation setup will now commence. The detective employs what is known as the futility technique. He will tell Jennifer that he has an abundance of resources at his disposal, and even fabricate much of what he asserts. He's indirectly telling the suspect it is useless to resist due to the overwhelming evidence against her.
Now, the reason why I'm here today, okay, is that I'm an expert, okay, in what we call truth verification. I talk to thousands of people, okay, and I basically know when somebody's not being straightforward with me, okay. I can tell by the language they use, how they answer the questions, their body language, how they treat the question, that something's wrong here. Okay, this doesn't make
Police be 20
The detective
witnesses.
then gives Jennifer an 8-minute narrative on police tactics and forensic technology, some of which is embellished, but for the most part true.
Bruh.
He then asserts that police are able to use infrared satellite imagery to see the occupants inside.
That's the thing. Like, y'all gotta realize, chat, if y'all ever guilty of something and you get interrogated, it's ups for you. It's ups for you. Like, literally, your best strategy is to not say anything. Your best strategy is to not say anything until you get a lawyer. That's literally it. Until you have a lawyer, don't say shit. Don't say anything. Because whatever you do, they will use that against you in some way, bruh. Your body language, the way you talk, the things you say, they will use it against you. Just call a lawyer And that's all you gotta do, man. All that other stuff, don't do it. Just don't do it.
By the household. This is entirely false.
And basically, if people are moving around in a house, it's like an X-ray, okay? And basically, we're able to tell, are those movements and are those actions, that number of people consistent with the story that we've been
Teach
told?
us kill? No, let's slow down here. I'm not teaching y'all to kill. No, all I'm saying is if allegedly you were to do something, don't say anything until you get a lawyer. Alright? Don't say anything until you get a lawyer. Simple as that.
Are the people in the positions that the witnesses are telling us they were in? Or are they different? Okay, and if they're different, why are they different is what our question becomes, right? And so at the end of the day, okay, there's so many resources available to me that at the end of the day, I'm going to know if a person's telling me the truth or not.
The detective is now about to initiate the confrontation, but first brings the entire setup full circle by reestablishing the notions of reasoning and rationale. The suspect is fatigued and scared, but still needs to feel the detective is on her side.
Now, I can tell you that nothing surprises me in this job, okay? I am well aware that anybody on this earth is capable of making a mistake. Okay? I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a priest. I don't care if they're a school teacher. I don't care what the situation is. Given a certain set of circumstances.
Oh, really, Trey? I had no idea.
Ability, Jennifer, of making a mistake. Doing the wrong thing. Okay? The key, though, when I talk to people is when they made a mistake, okay, that's one thing, right? The key is to not keep making the same mistake. And to get that information out and get it off their chest. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, from this case, and I can tell you I've spent literally a week on this case, going over information after information, accessing all the sources, speaking to every other expert on the case. And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police. Okay? You've not told us everything that you know, purposely. You've spent a considerable amount of time in the last 7 years telling half truths.
He getting closer and closer.
And I can understand why. Okay?
He put that pressure on her.
Life. What's happened to you, to me, equates to abuse. And all the stresses that you've had and forced to lie, I can understand why you did it. Okay? But you're in another situation here where you're under another tremendous amount of stress. And it doesn't feel good inside, does it? It breaks down the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're a good person. I know.
But I like they care to say lock him up, which is the strategy. Exactly. Like, bruh. Like, y'all ever see, like, those, like, in movies and shit where, let's say someone was robbing a bank or something and they have people held hostage and you have the police out here with a negotiator, like, okay, let him, what do you want? We'll fulfill your commands. And then the robber's like, give me like $1 million and I'll let him out. And, negotiator, tries to do all them tactics and shit, tries to play with their mind just to get him out of there, and then they catch them. And literally that's it, bro. Negotiators, bro, they are like on the top of like, of niggas who work for the police that are what's one movie for? That are like really good at mind games and shit. Like they're really, really smart.
In this case, though, you've made mistakes. Okay? And you're involved in this. I know that. Okay? There's no question about it. The only question right now
like, bro, if y'all ever watched Money Heist, that's a really good example of that shit. Money Heist is a really good example of that shit. Y'all got to watch that shit. Y'all get a chance, bro. That shit was fire.
Are you going to keep making mistakes?
I'm waiting for the next season.
Are you going to go on the route that you've gone on over the years and try to pretend that things happen that never happened? Okay? Are you going to know that you're involved? We've done our homework, okay? We have to resolve that now here today. I need to know from you what really happened.
W sound alert.
I know why this.
L sound alert. I hate that sound alert.
You have spent your whole life trying to live up to expectations that you can't make, okay? And it stressed the hell out of you. You're a 24-year-old woman being treated like a 15-year-old, okay? You've never done anything that terrible in your life, but you're being treated like you have. You're not being treated like the adult that you are. Yes, you made some mistakes, big deal. You're not the first person that has gone out and not told their parents that they're dating a guy, because in your culture they don't accept it. I understand it. I've talked to people in here that have kept that secret for their whole life from their parents. Okay, so that's not abnormal, but that puts a lot of stress on you, right? That's not easy for you, is it? No. Now, what we need to get down to here today, Jen, is what really happened. You need to tell me what went on, because you know who was in that house that night. You do, Jen. There's no question about that, okay?
While remaining empathetic and understanding, the detective still needs to keep Jennifer's confidence low. He watches for denials and stops them immediately. Letting the suspect deny her guilt will only increase confidence and morale. This needs to be stripped away as much as possible, as early as possible.
There's no question about it, okay?
The focus is kept from the magnitude of the crime and concentrated on the justifications of why someone would commit it.
Yes, their intentions might have been good, but they're not realistic. They're not, Dan, were they? Jen? Their expectations weren't realistic, were they? You couldn't live up to them, could you? You tried to. Right? Am I right? And finally you had to bite back, right? You had no other choice. You felt like you had no other options. You thought of everything else, including killing yourself. This is Canada. We're in the 21st century here. You cannot
it was crazy.
take everything out of a person.
You
can have expectations for your kids, but
the perpetrators, they don't realize that the interrogator is getting closer and closer and closer and literally just closing on them, and they don't even realize that shit. Because their whole world is just it's just spinning at the moment.
You can't expect them to do everything the way you want. It doesn't feel good to have secrets, does it? No. You have to let me know what happened here, okay? Okay, but you were involved, right? That's the part we need, okay? We need to hear that from you because we know you were.
The detective appears to be getting nowhere, so he now lowers the gauge of admission. A confession to a lesser offense is far easier to attain, but once it is attained, can be used to build on the more damnatory elements of the case. You'll also notice that he uses broad terms that infer guilt, yet don't directly accuse Jennifer of murder.
You knew before that night that this was going to happen. I'm going to make that easy on you. That's a true statement, right? You knew before that night that they were coming. Right? Ken? It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you.
She seems to be on the cusp of giving some form of admission, yet wants reassurance as to what it means for her own sake. She asks this question 9 times throughout this interrogation. It's one of the few things investigators can't actually lie about, as it's been used countless times in the past to get a case thrown out under misdirection. They can avoid the question, yet they can't afford any false promises with respect to sentencing.
I need to know the details. I can't even say. But I can tell you one thing is that we already know, so you can't change that.
Because it's Pride
I
Month.
know you did.
That's why.
But it got too far ahead of you, right? You didn't think this far ahead, did you? But once they started, once they came in, you couldn't stop it, could you? Could you? Jen? Hmm? I know. Why didn't they stop for you? Hmm?
I know who they were.
But you were part of the planning, right? You have to tell me that part, and then we're going to work through it together.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Just come clean, bro. It's already up.
You wanted to stop it. You have to prove that to me now.
Just come
Because at the end
clean.
of the day,
It's finished for you.
we have to stop this from happening to someone else.
Right, so right
Right?
now, on God he is. It's his favorite month.
Jen, we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I need to know what you did. And then you and I are going to work through this together. Because the most important part of this whole thing is that we do the right thing for your mom. Right? I am her voice right now. I'm working for your mom. That's my job. And I have to get to the bottom of this for your mom.
Appealing to compassion isn't necessarily uncommon when the crime is first-degree murder, yet it can send a mixed message when a justification for the crime was a focus point early on. The detective takes his chance with it, which at first appears to work. Jennifer initially responds in a poignant manner, but you'll soon come to notice that her empathy, alongside her concern, is solely focused on herself.
But we got to start.
What happened to me?
Well, I don't know at this point. Okay, because I don't know what you're going to tell me other than that you were involved, but I need to hear it. What this all was a last-ditch effort to live your own life, to be your own person, to make
Like,
your
bro,
own
his
decisions.
eyes look at her failed.
Look at all your friends. Look at all the people around you. Does anyone else have a curfew for 9 o'clock at 24 years of age? You had no choice here, Jen. I know that.
Bruh. The fact that
And anybody else in your situation would have done the exact same thing.
she's not even making any type of eye contact, it just shows how guilty she is. She's making no type of eye contact, bro. She is extremely guilty. Very, very
The only thing
guilty.
different is I would say that they'd have done it a lot earlier. They would have looked for a way out. When did you first start planning this? When was the final straw? What was the final straw? So that's what this is all about. Do you want to be a good person here?
Jennifer knows exactly what questions to answer and what ones to ignore. Anytime a question is non-incriminating, she gives a response. Yet when they are incriminating, she remains silent. She is no doubt feeling the pressure, but still very aware of the situation and the potential ramifications of her words.
Okay. And you know when a good person makes a mistake, they have to face that mistake, right? Right? What do you think should happen?
Going to fucking
You're going to
slammer.
prove to people that you know what the right thing to do is.
You go into the slammer, girl. It's ups for you.
That's what your mom wants.
It's the end of the road
She's
for you,
watching us.
girl.
She's wondering, is Jen going to make the right decision here? Is Jen, after all of this, going to come out on top doing the right thing? I'm here for you, Jen. I'm here for your mom. You have to tell, it's one of those situations, you know what? We know that what you did, okay? But you have to be able to explain to me what happened, okay? I can't tell you what's exactly going to happen to you. You just have to be brave here. You have to be brave.
Hey, girl. Just plead guilty and take the plea.
3 hours, 20 minutes. and
Plead
26
guilty and take the
seconds.
plea.
The exact amount of time it took for Jennifer to display genuine
If
emotion.
you're lucky,
The
you'll get
investigator would
out
later
by the time you're
testify
like,
this was the
I don't
first
know.
moment the suspect was
By
being
the time you're like
defended. He
70,
allows her to fixate on whatever
you still have
thoughts
time
left
to
inside
like,
and remains completely
I don't
silent
know.
for just under 2 minutes.
to go. I don't know. What can you do? You probably just rent out your parents' old house or something, live there. Who knows? They were supposed to kill me.
What? Okay. So we're supposed to take the whole family out?
No, just me.
The hell?
The detective now has one foot in the door. It's not an outright confession, but Jennifer has now admitted to planning the home invasion all along. And although she asserts that she was the intended target while her parents were meant to be spared, the information she has now given is enough to place her under arrest.
Yep.
Jennifer is no longer going home after this interview. The detective now presses for more information on
Yep.
the amended storyline. It's essentially step one of day one all over again, but from a more powerful position. He knows she is still lying, and now locks her into as many lies as possible within the new narrative.
What happened? Why did it change? Okay, what do you know? How come it was supposed to be you?
Hey, y'all realize niggas that get like 50... Y'all realize that niggas that like go to prison and they get, let's say they get like 50-year sentence or some shit. Y'all realize their parole officers ain't even born yet? Bruh. Let that sink in. Their parole officers, their fucking correction officers, them niggas ain't even born yet, bro. That is tough.
Why not?
Tough.
Okay, you made mistakes, but nothing that couldn't be corrected. Why was it supposed to be you?
Everyone could be free from me.
Why did it happen this way then?
I don't know. Everyone could be free from me. I was disappointed in everything.
Okay, so why did it have to happen this way?
Because when I tried suicide,
What did you want done?
That shit must be hella sad.
How?
it matters.
Okay. So who did you get to do this then?
I don't know who he is. I just got his number.
Okay. And what's his number?
I don't memorize it.
She skirts around the questions surrounding her accomplices and
What?
gives multiple fake names. She stated that she got the number of the supposed hitman from an acquaintance named Rick, and that she took everything from there over the phone. It becomes apparent she doesn't want to give up, or even mention her boyfriend, so for the time being the detective allows her to recount her amended narrative in the manner she pleases. She gets to the moment she instructed the hitman over the phone about her planned suicide.
I told him that I wanted to be killed.
And did he think that was something crazy?
He said, "Are you sure that's what you want?" And I said, "Yes."
Because I don't think many people get that request. Do you?
No, but that's what I wanted. And he asked me over and over to make sure I was sure. And I said I was sure.
Okay, so what did you ask him to do then?
Come take me out and then leave.
You buy a hitman?
Why did they do it when you were...
Apparently you could buy a hitman, yes.
when your parents were there then?
Never alone. And next time.
Okay. So that meeting you had with
Link.
Rick, you told him what you wanted?
No, I just said that I wanted, if he knew anybody who could take care of something that I needed, just that I wanted to be killed.
And he said what?
There's the number.
How you gonna do that and not prepare for shit?
Did he have the number with him that day?
Man.
Okay. What did he say he would do?
He just like wanted to take care of it.
Honestly,
So you're specifically
Very few people get away with murder, bro. Very few people.
Make sure you can.
To get away with that shit, you have to have a game plan,
and
a
you're the
whole
obvious
like
only
set
young girl there,
plan
right?
to get like just not get caught.
Okay. When he came to your room,
Yes.
what discussions did you have with the guy that came to your room? The real discussions you had, not what you told us.
Where was the money? And I showed him where the money was.
Okay. But he obviously said, I'm here to do what you asked.
He never said anything like that.
What did he say?
It's like hands behind your back.
Did he discuss ways with you how he would do it?
No.
Did you request any way for him to do it?
To make sure no one else was around.
Okay. Why didn't they do it the way you wanted?
I don't know. I asked them to keep me with my mom when they took them away.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
I know it doesn't make sense to me. But that's how it was supposed to be.
My pet lizard over
Can you sit up for a
here.
minute, John?
I'm a pet lizard. It's probably Joshua Jordan's.
Okay, look at me.
The detective wants an outright confession, and the second direct confrontation is about to commence. Only this time it will be a lot more aggressive, as he doesn't have to worry as much about the suspect locking up or requesting counsel. She is under arrest and going to jail after this interrogation no matter what.
Look at me. Okay. What I do believe is that you went to somebody. And I do believe that night you paid them the $2,000. But what's not true is it was never for you. Okay, Jen, no. Okay, you went to this person and you asked them to do a job. And the job was for your parents. You asked them to do this job on your parents, Jen. Okay, let's be truthful. Okay, nobody's going to come there and get the wrong people. If you wanted to kill yourself, Jen, you're not going to pay somebody $2,000 to do it.
I couldn't do it myself.
Okay,
So
but there's other ways. Okay.
Couldn't do it yourself. I mean, okay, but why would you? If you really want to just kill yourself, why in the hell would you get your parents involved in that shit? I mean, like, why the fuck would you just get them involved in the first place? You could just kill yourself and then that could have just been it. But now, your mom is dead and your dad probably has brain damage. Like, yeah, why would you call them come to your house with your parents inside? That's just like, what's the issue? On top of that, I don't know. I mean, there are other ways to do that, but I mean, either way, obviously, suicide is not a good thing, but this is like a million times worse. So it's like,
Okay. And if
So,
that was
yeah.
what happened, they could have taken you outside and done it anywhere. It wouldn't matter, would it? If you really wanted to die, all they would have had to do is pull up beside you in a car and shoot you. You made a specific request, and the job was for your mom and dad. Okay? Nobody's going to come in there and do the wrong job. Okay? Nobody's going to do that. They came, you paid, and they did what they were supposed to do. And the plan was for your parents.
Me.
Okay? Jen, you have to be honest with it. This is the only thing that's in contention here. Okay? You made the mistake, okay? Everybody understands. Everybody in this police department
Put it in a
feels
random
sorry for
place.
you. I can tell you that right now.
could have been that too.
Because they've seen what you're going through.
Like,
It's so obvious.
At all places, why at your
All
house?
the attention they put out. Basically, this is like a volcano. All right? And at one point, it was just too much, and you erupted, okay? And you made a bad decision, okay? And once you hired this guy, there was no turning back. Now, in the original story, you said that you hid your cell phone, okay? If it was for you, you wouldn't have hid your cell phone. That would have never happened. So it's in
It's
conflict.
not hidden. It's just I put it there naturally.
Okay.
It's what I naturally do.
Okay, but you said on tape that you hid it there and that they didn't know about it. That's your language, not mine, Jen. All they wanted was so much success out of you, they were not even looking at you as a person. They were looking for a success story. Instead of just saying, whatever Jen wants is what's good for us. Whatever she's happy with. As long as she's happy in her life, I'm happy with it. If she
Houdini.
wants to work at Eastside Mario's for the rest of her life, that's fine. If she wants to be a piano teacher, that's great.
What the fuck did you just type
If
in
she
my
wants to
chat?
continue figure skating, that's wonderful. Why would somebody shoot someone they didn't have to shoot?
I don't know. I can't figure that out.
And actually not shoot the person they're supposed to shoot?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, why didn't you tell us this that night then?
Because I was scared.
Scared of what? Telling the truth?
Yes. That I wanted to die. But
Okay,
instead,
but listen, if you wanted to die, you would tell us everything because it wouldn't matter. Jen, if you really wanted to die, you would tell us everything because it doesn't really matter. Right?
It does matter because the wrong person got hurt. And my dad is suffering.
I appreciate that's what happened in the end, but that's what was supposed to happen. Okay? The good thing about this is your dad did live. And that went against the plan. If you could make this decision over, you would change it. Okay? You would change it. Right?
Of course. Because I knew he was going to get hurt. Of course I would.
Jen, you knew who was going to get hurt. That's the whole issue here. Okay? That's the whole issue here. You gave them the plan for your parents, right? That's all I need to hear.
No.
Jen, you did.
No. And this is not going to go anywhere because I wanted them to kill me.
Tell me what happened.
I told you what happened.
Okay. All of it.
You did.
Okay. All you have to do is tell me right now that, Bill, yes, I made a mistake.
Bill, yes, I made a mistake.
That's a
The plan
confession.
was for my parents.
The detective gets no further admission from this point forward, so he leaves Jennifer alone for 3 minutes to play with her hair before he comes back and charges her with first-degree murder.
Okay.
You want to kill someone, you would have to be dead ass. So
I
change
need you to
your,
listen close to me, okay, Jen?
change your ears on.
At this point in the investigation, okay, I'm going to be arresting you for murder. Okay? Also attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Do you understand that? Just have to tell me if you understand those charges. Just say yes or no. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is, do you have your own lawyer?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, we're gonna get you a
Do you have a
lawyer.
lawyer you would like to speak to that you know of?
No.
Okay.
We're gonna get you a
Would
lawyer,
like to
girl.
speak to duty counsel.
We're gonna get you a lawyer,
I'm
girl.
someone who can help me understand.
Okay, so who
That
would
could have got away.
I don't know.
Essentially, yeah, they got away.
So do you have a lawyer?
I think.
You said that you were at my side. And I was,
Okay, I am on your side, Jen. What would you like to do?
Oh, never mind. They got their DNA. Okay. Never mind.
I don't have any idea.
Do you want me to call duty counsel for you? Okay. Or is there any other lawyer that you would like? Okay. So at this point, you wish to speak to duty counsel then?
Sure.
Okay. So what I'm going to have to get you to do is actually empty all your pockets on the table here. I'm going to make sure that they're making a call to duty counsel, and we'll line that up, and you can speak to the duty counsel in private, okay? We've made a call to duty counsel, and we're just waiting for them to call back, okay?
Notice
Anything?
what happened. The father never survived.
Okay. I do have to go and speak to the doctor, but I'll come back.
Well,
Well, we had a kid.
I feel like it still would have happened. It just would have taken longer just to like I feel like it would have just taken longer to happen, I'm guessing, right? It probably would have just taken longer. But then again, I don't know. But yeah.
We got to take care of these lawyers.
But yeah.
That's the priority. Okay?
That's definitely unfortunate for her.
The next time Jennifer would see this detective would be when he testified at her trial. It began on the 14th of March, 2014, and Jennifer pled not guilty to all charges. Her interrogation tape was one of the more
She pled not guilty?
put forward by the prosecution. Yet the most damning were the 100.
She pled not guilty? Is she stupid? She's... Is she dumb? Why would she plead not guilty to all that? She literally got caught in 4K. Well, you already know what happened to her. She got life.
16 text messages between her and her boyfriend in the 6 hours leading up to the murder. They thought using burner phones to communicate would cover the tracks, yet forensics were able to uncover the entire discussion just 1 month after the incident. They spoke in detail about how the crime would be carried out, and it was enough to convict them both, as well as each of the intruders who were linked to the crime via DNA evidence and witness testimony. They were all found guilty of first-degree murder and given a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 25 years.
That's
Jennifer
tough.
Penn is now 34 years of age. She is currently serving her sentence at the Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener, Ontario. She will be first eligible for parole in November of 2035.
Damn! Oh, shit. 2035? We're in 2021 right now, right? She got another 14 years, bruh. Bro, what the fuck? I'm gonna be damn near 40 by the time she's out. I'm gonna be damn near 40 by the time she's out. What the fuck? Yeah, that's tough. That's crazy. That's crazy.